I need haste. After that, boy, I need grace. I need bones, that's awake. I need loans with no break. I am chosen, I am great. After that, boy, I need space, but I need space. I need space. I need space. I want space. I want space. I want space. Y'all out here hollering about one on block. I need space. I want space. I want space. I want space. I want space. Y'all out here hollering about one on block. I need space. I need space.
Okay, so today's class is going to be geared toward the sisters today. It's for the sisters today. All right. So I hope y'all ready. Buckle your seatbelts. We're going to get into it. We're going to start out in the book of 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 7. Yes, sir.
The book of 1 Timothy chapter 5 and verse 7. In these things give in charge, that they may be blameless.
Right, so these things that we're going to go over today is that so our sisters can be blameless, all right? Like the man, the woman plays a crucial role in the family and in the rebuilding of our nation. A lot of damage has been done to our nation because one or both of these roles are not being fulfilled, all right? So we're going to start off with the examples to the younger sisters. Who is going to be an example to the younger sisters? Brothers, who is an example to the younger sisters?
The elder sisters.
Grab the mic.
Need a brother on the mic.
The elder sisters.
That's correct. You got a scripture that talks about that?
I forgot. 1 Corinthians, I believe. I forgot.
Somebody help him out.
The book of Titus, chapter 2, verse 3.
All right, you got that also?
Yes, sir. The book of Titus chapter 2 and verse 3. The aged women likewise, that they be in behavior as becometh holiness, not false accusers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things.
Teachers of what?
Teachers of good things.
All right, so that's the example of the older sisters. You should be able to teach the younger sisters good things. Read on.
That they may teach the young woman to be sober.
Right. Now let's go to 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 9.
The book of 1 Timothy chapter 5 and verse 9. Let not a widow be taken into the number, under 80 years old, having been the wife of one man.
So when it says, let not a widow be taken into the number, remember, let not a widow be taken into the number under 80 years old. So what is that number she's going to be taken into? Brothers, pay attention. Pay attention. What is the number that this, read it again, the widow is being taken into?
Let not a widow be taken into the number under 80 years old.
What is that going into? Brother Andrew in the back. Brother Andrew in the back.
It's basically saying a sister's husband that died, if she's under 60, don't take her in.
Take her in what? It says take it into the number. I'm asking you, what does that mean? Take it into the number.
I misunderstood the question. Sorry.
Can anybody help him?
Andrew, you were almost there. You said don't take her in. So what does it mean to not take her in? Don't take her into what? What aren't you going to do?
Brother Zadok. Go ahead.
Put her on payroll or give her a job?
No, sir.
No.
Brother Zadok, you got it?
Take her into marriage.
No. Anybody? Read it again, officer. Keep reading it, verse 10.
Yes, sir. Let not a widow be taken into the number under 80 years old, having been the wife of one man, well reported of for good works.
Okay, Paul. So where is she going to be reported of good works? Where is she reported of her good works? Andrew.
Amongst the body.
There you go. So go back up to verse 9.
Verse 9. Let not a widow be taken into the number under 80 years old, having been the wife of one man, well reported of for good works.
So the criteria for the sister being taken into the church, or for the church, you can sit down, or for the church taking care of her, is that she has a good report. And this is the example that the elder sisters are supposed to be given to the younger sisters. Good report. Read on.
If she have brought up children, if she have lodged strangers, if she have washed the saints' feet, if she have relieved the afflicted, if she have diligently followed every good work.
All right, so this is the charge that we are given to the sisters. We want to be like this widow or this elder sister, this example in the body. Take some of the bass out of this mic. These are the examples that we want our sisters to follow. All right, this is that Proverbs 31 woman right here. Let's see where we are.
11.
Hold on 1 second. Okay. Right, she's going to be that Proverbs 31 woman at home, in the nation, and inside of the church, right? So the things that you do at home are a direct reflection of the congregation, and that's how we want our sisters' mind to be geared. That it's no difference between the work at home and the work inside of the body, all right? Read verse 11.
Verse 11. But the younger widows refuse.
Okay, let's find out why are we going to refuse the younger widows, right? It says refuse the younger widows. Read on.
For when they have begun to wax wanton against Christ.
So what does that mean? When they begin to wax wanting against Christ?
Brother Jan. It means that they can get married again, because like Paul was saying that when you're single, basically you can give your works completely to the body, like in ministry. But when you're married, you have to take into consideration your spouse.
No. Read it again. Remember when we started at verse 9, it says, let not the widow be taken into the number under 80, having been the wife of one man, well reported of for good works. But then it says the younger widows refuse. Why are we refusing the younger widows? Andrew.
Basically because they can get married again at a young age. That's why it says for when they have begun to wax and wanton against
It
Christ.
says wanton against Christ.
Wanton.
What is wanton?
Like arrogant or
No. Somebody look that up. Anybody got a definition for wanton?
I got the Merriam-Webster Dictionary of wanton, W-A-N-T-O-N. Not limited or controlled, or of a woman having sex with many men.
Right? It said they will begin to wax wanton, meaning over a period of time they're going to begin to do what? They're going to fornicate. They're going to start to burn. Right? Read that again from 10. I'm sorry, 11.
Verse 11. But the younger widows refuse.
The younger widows we're going to refuse. Read on.
For when they have begun to wax wanton against Christ, they will marry.
All right. So we understand that wanton mean they're going to have a sexual unrestrained or having many casual sexual relationships, wanting against Christ. They're going to start to follow after their natural man and do things. So that's why we have to put a hedge over our sisters. Right? Read on.
Having damnation because they have cast off their first faith.
So we're going to refuse certain women in the church because they don't have good works, right? Your works are what's going to carry you in the long run. So Right now, sisters, if you don't have works in the body, you may want to examine yourself and get your things together, all right? Where we at?
Yeah, because we got sisters that may potentially want, to ask, leadership to pay for certain bills. They might be getting behind on this, that, or the third. But the scriptures say that for a sister to qualify for that, she need to be having good work. She need to take care of the kids. She need to be lodging strangers, washing the saints' feet. So you can't be the sister that you don't even come up to the leadership table and say shalom, but you want us to give you, a couple $100 to pay your bills. You can't be the sister that we ask for volunteers for the children's room. You don't want to volunteer, but you want us to pay your rent. Nah, that's not what the scriptures say. You got to get yourself in order before you want the Lord to take care of you and your bills.
Right. So again, here's the reason that we're going to refuse the younger widows. Verse 12.
Verse 12. Having damnation, because they have cast off their first faith.
They ain't really here. They please to dwell. They cast off the first faith. They look the part, but they're not really here. All right? Let's see. Read on.
Verse 13. And withal, they learn to be idle.
They learn to be what?
They learn to be idle.
Okay, give me Proverbs 19:5. Let's find out something about our sisters learning to be idle. What does that lead to? Obviously, your host just brought it out.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 19, and verse 5.
15.
Verse 15. Slothfulness casteth into a deep sleep.
So, sisters, if you're slothful, that's going to cast you into a deep sleep. You're going to feel like everything is okay. You're in a position where you're comfortable. If you're comfortable in here, you might want to check your spirit. You're supposed to be comfortably uncomfortable inside the body, making sure that you're doing everything that's possible. Read on.
And an idle soul shall suffer hunger.
So it says that an idle soul shall suffer hunger. If you're inside the body and you're not putting in your bricks, that may be the reason that you're slipping into poverty, or that may be the reason that you don't have a Lord. Read it one more time from the top.
Slothfulness casteth into a deep sleep, and an idle soul shall suffer hunger.
Idle soul is going to suffer hunger. I need my rent paid this month because I can't figure out what's going on. You're idle inside of the body. All right? Read on, let me see, where we at?
Proverbs 19:15.
Yeah, that's it. Go back to 1 Timothy 5 and 7.
1 Timothy chapter 5 and verse 7. And these things give in charge, that they may be blameless.
So again, we're going to go through these. I'm trying to go quick so that we can finish. We're going through this so that the sisters can be blameless. All of us sit inside the body and we may not know what our roles are, so we're going to go through them today. Go back to 14. 1 Timothy 5 and 14.
1 Timothy chapter 5 and verse 14. I will therefore that the younger women marry, bear children, guide the house, give none occasion to the adversary to speak reproachfully.
All right, one more time.
I will therefore that the younger women marry.
So the younger women are supposed to get married, but they're supposed to do it correctly, not waxing wanting, right? You're supposed to be patient. You're supposed to prove a Lord. You're supposed to have works in the body so that you yourself will have a good report. That's what we read. The sisters have good reports. The widows had good reports to the point that the body would take care of them without any second guessing. So likewise, the younger sisters, you to marry correctly. Read on.
Bear children, guide the house.
Hold up, go back. It says bear children. Bear children. Give me that definition of bear. That's a twofold word, and I like that. Bear children. Let's get into that a little bit.
While he's pulling that up, sisters, just keep in mind the advice, the counsel that we give the brothers. When a brother's looking for a wife, we tell them off bat, if she ain't putting in no works in the body, don't even look her direction. So if you're a single sister and you want a husband and you ain't doing nothing, you ain't getting one. You ain't gonna get a brother that's in here that's taking counsel that's gonna lead you how you need to be led. And for the sisters that do want a husband, if you want one, the place to go is not Facebook. Don't send them a DM. You're not on Instagram, Twitter. The place you want to come to is right here. Come see us right after class. Let us know you're looking for a husband, and we're going to keep our eye out to try to get you a Lord. Everybody got that?
Oh, all right. Yeah, they real quiet. You can hear the mouse. What is it? Mouse piss on cotton. Bear. The definition of bearing. It says to carry, to support, endure an ordeal or difficulty. All right, to give birth to. So I like number 3 and number 4. It says to endure. So it says to endure children. The younger sisters are to marry and to endure children. That's definitely going to take some endurance when it comes to raising up children. It's not an easy thing, right? It said, my definition, to bring forth or to produce, to suffer, to undergo without resentment or amazement, right? Or perplexity. Look up the definition of amazement. Give me 1 Peter 3 and 6. So this is some of the criteria of our sisters. You have to bring forth, get married and bear children. Amazement definition. All right, amazement. It says a feeling of great surprise or wonder. Synonyms: astonishment, surprise, bewilderment, shock. What is that? Stupefaction. What is it? Stupefaction, dismay, consternation, consternation. The word I want is perplexity. So give me what you got, 1 Peter's.
The book of 1 Peter, chapter 3 and verse 6. Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, whose daughters ye are.
Whose what?
Whose daughters ye are, as long as ye do well.
So you are the daughters of Sarah as long as you do well, right? Read on.
And are not afraid with any amazement.
So it says, whose daughter you are as long as you do well and are not afraid with any amazement. So one of the synonyms for amazement was perplexity. Perplexity says the inability to deal with or understand something complicated or unaccountable. All right, so a lot of times when it comes to raising children, we get that from our sisters. I'm unable to deal with them, right? Or I don't understand what's going on with my children. I can't deal with my children the way that I should be. Read that again.
Verse 6. Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, whose daughters ye are, as long as ye do well.
As long as you do well, read on.
And are not afraid with any amazement.
So that amazement is going into raising children as well. That perplexity that you feel when you're overwhelmed with your children. It says, as long as you do well, you are a daughter of Sarah. Is there more on that? Read on, verse 15. I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Verse 7. Likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife, and unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life.
Right, so the men play a role in raising the children as well. Go back to 1 Timothy 5 and 15.
1 Timothy chapter 5 and verse 15. For some are already turned aside after...
Start at 14.
Verse 14. I will therefore that the younger women marry, bear children.
Right, the younger women are to marry, to bear the children. Now we get a better understanding of what it means to bear children, to produce, and to go through the education, health with your children. A lot of different factions come up when it comes to raising children. Read on.
Guide the house.
Guiding the house.
Give none occasion to the adversary to speak reproachfully.
Read on.
For some are already turned aside after Satan.
Right, that's the part I wanted. It said, for some have already turned aside to Satan. Going back to 1 Peter 3, it says, as long as you do well, you are the daughters of Sarah. But some have already turned aside to Satan. Because what? They are not able to deal with the children. What do you call it? Postpartum depression?
Yep.
Yeah, but I've known some women that have like 5 or 6 children and they just totally let them go. They don't deal with them since they were young. They don't deal with them. And the boys end up, or the girls end up raising themselves into all manner of wickedness. So that is a condition, and the men, you do play a role in taking care of the household. Ephesians 6 and 4.
The book of Ephesians, chapter 6 and verse 4. And ye fathers, provoke not your children to wrath.
So this is for the fathers as well. You play a role in the rearing of your children. It says, provoke not your children to what?
To wrath.
To wrath, read on.
But bring them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord.
So my question, how do you provoke your children to wrath? Brothers.
Jason.
Shalom leadership. You don't teach your children the commandments?
That's correct. By not teaching your children the commandments. Read that last part of that precept.
But bring them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord.
So if you don't bring them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord, they're going to come up what? Learning Christmas, New Year's, hating their brothers. That's going to provoke them to the wrath of the Most High, because He's going to put them to death, right? So if you don't want to bring your children up or provoke them to wrath. All right.
But without no understanding, somebody might read that and think you got to let your kids just do whatever they want. Or I don't want to provoke them to wrath, so I don't want to tell little Johnny to sit his hind parts down or give him a whoop. That ain't what it's talking about.
All right. IT, pull up the article for me. All right, officer, can you read this for me? So what I'm doing, I want to take this and parallel the woman's role in society against the woman's role in the nation and the family. All right, because they're parallel. They're paramount that we understand the importance of our sisters and what their roles are. All right, so let's read this.
The global role of women, caretakers, conscience, farmers, educators, and entrepreneurs.
So this says the global role of women, a global role of women as caretakers, conscience, farmers, educators, and entrepreneurs. How many of you all see yourselves as those things? Bring it down some. How many caretakers do we have in here? That's how y'all can put y'all hands up. Okay. All right. I ain't gonna say conscious because I hope all of y'all are conscious. How many farmers do we have in here? The women. No farmers. Okay.
Raise your hand.
Where we at?
Raise your hand.
Oh, she had it. She had it. Okay. 2 farmers. What about educators? All right. Entrepreneurs. Yep. Okay, all right, we're gonna see. Let's see.
And look, all the sisters that said they caretakers, or at least got children, y'all building an enterprise. So y'all entrepreneurs, That's a business you can't put a price on.
We're gonna get into that. Go down, pull out, go up some. All right.
Throughout history, the central role of women in society has ensured the stability, progress, and long-term development of nations.
All right, let's read that one more time. I think that butter didn't get into the corners of them biscuits. Let's do it again.
Yes, sir. Throughout history, the central role of women in society has ensured the stability, progress, and long-term development of nations.
So our women play an important role of stabilizing the family and the nation, our progress and our long-term development. So our women play an important role. So let's get into our roles. Read on.
Globally, women comprise 43% of the world's agricultural labor force,
Go ahead.
rising to 70% in some countries. For instance, across Africa, 80% of the agricultural production comes from small farmers, most of whom are rural women.
Okay, so again, how many farmers we got in here? We don't have no farmers. No farmers, no women farmers. We got two.
Yeah, raise a hand.
Okay, all right. Read on.
It's widely accepted that agriculture can be the engine of growth.
The engine of what?
The engine of growth
Uh-huh.
and poverty reduction in developing nations.
Oh, so hold up. Brothers, how many of y'all struggling right now? I mean, paying the bills and things like that. So
You gotta see two hands back there.
So what did I say again? Read it again. What is the how can we reduce poverty?
For instance,
And we got some brothers still living with their parents, so that's probably why they hate.
Oh, okay. They not into the real world yet. Mommy and daddy got them. Okay. Go ahead.
it's widely accepted that agriculture can be the engine of growth.
So agriculture, let's think about this. Agriculture can be an engine for our growth. Right? Read on.
And poverty reduction.
Poverty reduction. We can reduce our own poverty by what? Growing our own foods. Right? Sisters, we can reduce our own poverty by growing our own foods. Right? I'm not saying this just to say it. I want to make sure that y'all write this down and y'all think about some of the seeds that you can plant in your backyard to reduce poverty. All right, read on.
In developing nations, women.
Isn't this a developing nation right here? Aren't we trying to develop our nation? So the role of our women is to get out there and start farming. Go ahead.
Women, notably mothers, play the largest role in decision-making about family meal planning.
A what?
Women, notably mothers, play the largest role in decision-making about family meal planning.
For example, my wife calls me every day. What do you want to eat? Guess what my response is? I don't know. Whatever you want to cook. This is every day. I do not plan on planning a meal ever. I just want to come home and eat. You feel me? So that's a woman's role, right? Read on.
And diet.
So, if your husband is overweight, I'm looking at you, the wife, because she's planning the meals, right? It's her fault, bruh. It ain't yours. What's she cooking with extra butter? What else? Extra salt. You got high blood pressure, all that other stuff. Sugar.
Everything fried.
All right, you got
laid to the side.
yeah, knickknacks everywhere around the house. In the couch, you got
Ho-hos, cookies, and
right. All right, so go ahead, read on.
And women self-report more often their initiative in preserving child health and nutrition.
So again, it says that women are more likely to self-report, meaning speak with each other about the initiative in preserving the health of their children, right? And nutrition. So that goes back into meal planning. Men is not going to sit down and say, oh, my baby, he can't eat this because it's not unhealthy. No, we're going to give him some sugar. Next thing they know, they're running around the house and we can't figure out why, right? That's not our nature. That's our women. So likewise, in the body, we want our sisters to be more attentive to these things inside of here. Right now, we have the officers over those things because, of course, the men have to be over that. But that doesn't mean that we're doing all of the planning, all right? We want our sisters to say, hey, this is what we're going to do. What do you think about this? Let us know. Give us the green light, all right? Read on.
Can you scroll down? The role of women as caretakers.
All right, so now we're getting into another part of it. We're talking about the caretaking side of our sisters, right? Let's go ahead.
Women are the primary caretakers of children and elders in every country of the world. International studies demonstrate that when the economy...
Go back.
Yes, sir. Women are the primary caretakers of children and elders in every country of the world.
Verse 10.
1 Timothy chapter 5 and verse 10. Well reported of for good works. If she have brought up children. If she have lodged strangers.
Right. Bringing up children and lodging strangers. That's caretaking. That's going into caretaking of your family and your nation. All right. You can you go back to the article now.
Women are the primary caretakers of children and elders in every country of the world. International studies demonstrate that when the economy and political organization of a society change, women take the lead in helping the family adjust to new realities and challenges. They are likely to be the prime initiator of outside assistance.
Right. All right, so it says that our sisters are likely to be the prime initiator of outside assistance. Let's see. Get Proverbs 31 and 16. So again, I told you that a lot of these things are going to let you know whether you're a Proverbs 31 sister or are you just claiming that, right? So we're talking about outside initiative. Now you got to be careful when you're talking about outside initiative, because it says that it could either facilitate or hinder change in the family. So that depends on who that sister is listening to. You know, in the beginning, Eve wanted to listen to Satan. That was a hindrance. She could have listened to Adam and everything would have been good. Read that when you got.
Proverbs chapter 31, verse 16. She considereth a field and buyeth it. With the fruit of her hand she planteth a vineyard.
It says that she considereth a field. This is going into what? Agriculture. Right? The sister is learning how to bring in that outside help. Again, we're talking about that garden. Those vegetables or whatever, they can be sold for money. That's going to help the family. Right? And it's also going into real estate. Land, that's a form of real estate. So if you have a wife that is attentive to the scriptures and she's into agriculture and real estate, that's bringing in that, what does it say, prime initiative of outside assistance. All right, read on.
The scripture.
No, I'm good with that.
International studies demonstrate that when the economy and political organization of a society change, women take the lead in helping the family adjust to new realities and challenges. They are likely to be the prime initiator of outside assistance and play an important role in facilitating or hindering changes in family life.
So it's in parentheses, or hindering. So sisters, you can help or you can hinder the family and the nation. Right? So you have to choose which side of this you're going to be on. Are you going to help or are you going to hinder? If you're not working, then you're becoming what? Dead weight. And that's going to pull the rest of us down. So make sure that you're carrying your own weight. Go ahead.
Rural women play a key role. Oh, excuse me. Can you scroll down? Or did you want that?
You can read it.
Rural women play a key role in supporting their households and communities in achieving food and nutrition security, generating income, and improving rural livelihoods and overall well-being.
Let's see. Read that one more time.
Rural women play a key role in supporting their households and communities in achieving food and nutrition security.
Okay, pause. It says rural women play a key role in supporting their household and community. All right, so let's get that in Proverbs again. That's Proverbs 31 and 27. So a lot of this stuff is going right back to the scriptures, and it's showing you the nations know what it takes for our women, the position of our women and where they're supposed to be. But it's up to us to read this and go into the scriptures and apply it. Go ahead, read what you got.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 31, verse 27. She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness.
Again, that's talking about our sisters not being idle and looking after the well-being of her house. That's the job of the sisters. Again, the house and the church, the family and the church are synonymous. It's the same thing. You want to look out for the well-being of the body. All right, give me verse 20.
Verse 20. She stretcheth out her hand to the poor. Yea, she reacheth forth her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow for her household.
She is what?
She is not afraid of the snow for her household.
So this sister's not going to be complaining it's too cold outside, or I can't go get the groceries today. Can you do it? She ain't afraid of that. She looking well to her house, all right? Because she knows that she's valuable. She knows her role. She knows her place and its importance in the family and in the nation.
We used to scream Black Power while Heron was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission, minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold, from Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are our men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.